Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So pretty big day around here for at least a couple projects, mainly that one and this one. So let me go ahead and start with the 67 Beetle here. Beautiful Java green, originally pearl white. Owner always wished it was green, so we made it green. Pretty much the original owner. Anyway, so if you follow the channel, you know that it has doors now and it did not previously. So yeah, those literally just went on today. And I think I mentioned yesterday even that they were probably going on today, and lo and behold, they did. So they're pretty much, they're hung on there, but the mechanism is not in yet. I don't think no strikers yet, no seals. So they're just kind of on here in a very basic way as far as being hung, but not, nothing else. And as you can see, we still need to add the holes for the trim. So we went ahead and closed those up. The idea being that then when the doors are on the car, then we can add the holes and make sure the alignment of everything is spot on. So anyway, yeah, doors both went on. And likewise, the hinges, at least for the front hood, went on. And the original glove box, Rafa actually restored that. So guys, sadly, Wolfsburg West used to offer really, really nice, essentially like cardboard, very original style glove boxes. And apparently they ran out. And whoever they had manufactured them said, take a hike, we're not interested in making those. I don't know what the story is behind it. I'm guessing they're probably pretty hard to manufacture, and there probably wasn't much profit in it for whoever was making them for Wolfsburg West. So they're not available anymore. So now the only thing that's available are the ugly plastic ones that look fairly terrible on a nice restoration. So the original one for this car was in okay shape in that it didn't have any real tears or anything. It wasn't crumbling like a lot of times they are. So Rafa went ahead and pretty much cleaned it up best we could. And then he applied a layer of clear coat on the outside to help preserve it. And then on the inside, he also applied some kind of off-white paint here to help preserve it. So it's a little bit bright, but that's okay anyway. Much better than a plastic one. So yeah, so if you have an original one, hold on to it, especially if it's in good shape, because you're not going to be able to get a nice reproduction, at least in the foreseeable future. So yeah, anyway, they restored that, installed it, hood hinges here, doors. Oh, another pretty big deal. I knew there was more big stuff. Look at that, guys, a windshield and trim. And likewise, the back window and trim. So yeah, there you go. Original Duraglass there. The front window, we almost never use original windows on Beetles. The reproductions that are available are nice, and they're almost always, the original ones are almost always have pits in them, and almost always have cracks in them, and almost always are kind of like delaminating around the corners. So, and it's kind of a safety thing because it's, between the driver and passenger and, the outside world essentially. So we pretty much without exception put new windshields on Beetle restorations. So yeah, front and back windows, hood hinges, doors, glove box. I think those were kind of the big items that happened today on this pup. So yeah, really come along. Rafa's going to be picking up some Wolfsburg West goodies in the morning, and we'll make some more headway on this thing tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. All right. So what did I do today? This car runs now, so that's exciting. I'll come back to that though. Let me talk about that at the end. So went ahead and put the gas tank in it, but only after we went ahead and we bled all the brakes. I think I mentioned yesterday that I was pretty sure the brakes were all fine after I adjusted the brake push rod, the brake pedal, the height of the pedal felt good. The firmness of it felt good. Everything felt really good. But we went ahead and bled all four wheels. Pretty much no air anywhere. I think this one, I got a tiny bit of air on the first bleed. Maybe a little bit on the other front. Rest of them looked great. So yeah, pedal feels amazing. I also went ahead and connected his e-brake handle, and e-brake handles kind of ugly, but you know, again, this isn't really in for a restoration for us. It's more for us to get the car functional and stuff. Otherwise, I would have like painted that or done something with it. It's silver and kind of ugly, but in addition to being a bit ugly, it was also kind of bent back in here. So I had to straighten it out in here so that the ratchet mechanism and stuff could go in there and operate properly. And then, yeah, I went ahead and pulled the cables through, got it adjusted. And as far as I can tell, it's working quite well on these Willwood aftermarket rear disc brakes. So yeah, the brakes should be totally done now. Bled, e-brakes, pedal adjusted, etc. So that's actually kind of a big thing here. Brakes are definitely good on cars that run and drive, and that is the goal on this car, is to make it a running, driving, and safe car. Anyway, so after finished the brakes, went ahead and put the gas tank in and connected it up underneath here. Again, this car has an electric fuel pump, so that's all plumbed in up underneath here. Checked for leaks, put gas in it, checked for leaks in the back. Everything looked good, and ran the pump for a couple minutes. Pressurized the system, checked, and operated the throttle without the car running, and could see the accelerator pump squirting on all four barrels. So pretty much at that point, went ahead and disconnected the coil, ran the motor over, turned the motor over for, I don't know, like maybe a minute or two to try and circulate the oil, because again, it does have a external filter. It does have a external cooler. Just let the oil get circulated around a bit, and then went ahead and started it. It actually started up pretty easily at that point, guys, and it sounds amazing. I'm not going to start it for you now. You'll hear it maybe in a day or so. But yeah, got it started. Had to adjust the carburetors a bit. The idle was set too low, and it kept trying to stall out. I haven't synced the carburetors or anything. I just adjusted the idle speeds up on them a bit to try and get it to idle. They may need to come up a little bit more, but yeah. The only thing is, guys, which I am very unhappy about, is it does have an oil leak. One of the fittings at the oil cooler is leaking, and it's one of the fittings where the adapter goes into the oil cooler itself. And that's one of the few fittings that I didn't take apart and check and redo all of the thread tape and stuff on it. And sure enough, it came back and bit me in the ass, so to speak. Whoever had put it together before, they had thread tape on it. I thought it looked fine. I tightened it, made sure it was tight. I don't know what's going on there, guys, but it's going to really suck to drop that filter, because you guys saw how crammed up in there it is. And now it's got hoses connected to it. It's got the thermostat wired into it. The hoses are all full of oil. So I am really not looking forward to dropping that oil cooler, but I don't see any way else to do it to address that leaky fitting. We'll see, guys. I don't know. I may be able to do it with it still up there in the car, but I'm afraid I'm probably going to have to remove the whole cooler and, take it to the bench and redo the sealing on that one fitting. So, not very happy about that. I'll probably go ahead and attack that first thing in the morning, because after I address that oil leak, this thing, I think, is ready to put wheels and tires back on it and maybe even take it for a test drive, guys. So I don't know. It's possible that I could be taking this thing for its maiden voyage tomorrow. Not sure, not making any promises, but think that oil leak is pretty much the only kind of outstanding thing that's keeping me from driving the thing, other than obviously wheels and tires. I spent a lot of time today going through, before I even started the car, I spent a long time going through the electrical on it because, guys, it was a mess. Holy crap. Started with the idiot lights when I put a battery in and turned the key on. No idiot lights came on, even though I knew that I had them wired to their correct sensors in the back. And yeah, one of them didn't have a bulb in it. The other one I think did, but I just threw it out and put new bulbs in it anyway. And then the way the idiot lights on these work is there's power that comes from the fuse box, and it basically feeds, in this case, 12 volts power to the idiot lights. And that's what turns them on when the car's not running. The idiot lights sensors are essentially grounded out. So you turn the key on and the lights come on. And then when you start the car, various things happen on those sensors and the lights go out. Anyway, so yeah, the power to that terminal of the speedometer was not hooked up. What else, guys? When you would turn on the headlights, the high beams would come on, but not the low beams. That was pretty easy to solve. Basically, the low beam wire at the foot switch for the high-low beam switch was not connected. That was an easy fix. But then when you would turn the headlights on, the running lights and the brake lights would come on. So somebody basically had the brake lights, instead of wired into the brake light circuit, they had the brake lights wired into the running light circuit. So it kind of took me a while to trace that out, figure out what was going on. So got that taken care of. And then at the back of the car, I think on both sides, actually, I know for sure this side, they had the brake light and the running light switched as far as the terminals on the bulb holders. So the brake light or the running lights were super bright, and it was a mess, guys. I don't know that I've seen this much of a wiring mess as far as stuff just hooked up completely wrong. Kind of a disaster, but I have everything on the car electrically pretty much works now except the horn, and there's no provisions for it on the steering column, and the semaphores are not hooked up. But it's got brake lights, it's got running lights, it's got headlights. So kind of the major things that I would consider like safety, again with the exception of the horn, are working. So I want to get the car running and driving, see where we are on his bill at that point. And then he can decide if he wants me to spend some time seeing if I can get his semaphores to work. But again, brake lights, running lights, headlights, that's kind of like the bare minimum for me at least, to have a car be safe to drive. You definitely want your brake lights to work. Definitely want your running lights to work. Definitely want your headlights to work. Everything else is kind of bonus material for a car like this that we're just trying to get up and running. But anyway, so yeah, tomorrow, probably first thing I'll address the oil leak. Not looking forward to that. It's going to be extremely unfun, but got to do it. And yeah, who knows, guys? Stay tuned tomorrow. Maybe I'll take this thing for a drive tomorrow. We'll see. I kind of hope so, actually. Motor sounds killer, by the way. You'll hear it soon. Last hour and a half or so of the day, turned my attention to this one and continued basically building out the driver door here. And guys, we're having issues with these felt strips, the smaller ones from Wolfsburg West. They don't really fit into the divider bar very well, and so we've been kind of crimping them down and then pushing them in there. The problem with that is it makes them way too tight on the window, and so what happens is the effort to roll the window up is quite high. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can see, guys, I'm kind of struggling here. Likewise, to roll it down, that's no good. I mean, you can do it, but it's a struggle. Anyway, so yeah. In fact, look at that, guys. It just literally pulled the lift channel right off the window because it was so hard. So that's not good. Okay, well, now I have to redo that too. But yeah, that's way too hard. And so I'm going to pull this back off tomorrow and try some different methods for putting in a new felt channel in here, because this is way too tight. We actually had the same issue on the passenger side of the Baja Bug, and we redid that one and kind of played around with it and got it to where it's operates quite nicely now. But now we kind of need to do the same thing on this one, because unacceptably difficult to roll it up and down. But anyway, so it's got to come back partially apart, but that's the progress that I made on that. Anyway, guys, I think that is it for today. So thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.